Welcome to Nanny Knowledge with Miss Jen. Welcome, mommies, daddies, nannies or grannies, or anyone just looking for information about all things baby. Thanks for joining. In this video, we're going to talk about foods that I will not give a baby. I invite you to subscribe to my channel so that you can get updates and notifications every time we post new videos. As a nanny, I have a specific responsibility and a liability when I'm watching somebody else's children. I just find myself erring on the side of caution a lot because I know personally that these specific foods have been choked on by a baby in my presence. I just don't like taking any chances. Why risk it? Okay, let's start with food number one. Apples. Apples with the skin on. Apples are yummy. Apples are delicious. Apples are healthy. Apples are full of vitamins. Apple sauce, apple slices, apple dices. Apples are good for babies. It's part of the brat diet. That's something I'll be talking about in one of my other videos. I am not saying don't feed your baby apples. What I'm saying is that I don't feed a baby apples with the skin on. It's just too risky. I've seen way too many babies choking on the skin. They might not have teeth yet. Or if they do have teeth, they're not good at grinding and chewing and taking their time to masticate their food properly. So if they're not biting and chewing and properly pre-digesting in their mouth, breaking down that skin, those skins get caught up in the roof of their mouth or in their throat, and it's a choking hazard. I don't feel safe giving a baby little cut, sliced up, diced up little apples with skin on it. I love apples. I eat apples with babies all the time. I make little fruit snacks and little cute animals with raisins and caterpillars and ladybugs. I love apples. I just peel off the skin. Apples are a very good food choice for a baby just starting out with solids. If you can cut the dices nice and small for them and make them bite size and finger pickup size, it's good practice for them to pick up their foods and using their fingers and manual dexterity and building those motor skills. Building those fine motor skills is going to get that baby to start eating all kinds of fun foods, especially a baby learning how to eat and use their fingers in their high chair. But please, just to be safe, cut the skin off, at least until you know that they're old enough to really chew that food and break down those apple skins. Another lovely fruit that I love and enjoy very much and think is a very healthy fruit, but will not give to a baby, number two, is tangerines or oranges. I love oranges myself, and I eat them all the time, but I'm not comfortable giving somebody else's baby an orange or a tangerine. Here's why. There's a lot of that stringy skin pith part of the fruit that, first of all, it's hard for them to break down, especially if they don't even have teeth yet. Even I, as a grown-up, have trouble breaking down that stringy stuff sometimes, and I find it getting caught in the back of my throat, and I'm like pulling strings out. So if we're having trouble with it, imagine how hard it might be for a baby who's just learning how to chew. I don't like to give the baby or toddler their own little orange slices to eat and handle and chew on and play with. I would never let the baby just hold the orange slices and have it on their high chair available to them and just let them go to town and eat their oranges. It's just too easy for that chunky, stringy stuff to get balled up and caught up in their throat, and then you have to go in and get it out. Okay, number three, pretzels. Pretzels. Not even the little tiny cute baby-sized pretzels, the tiny ones. Not even if I break it up into small pieces. Here's why. Pretzels, as much as I love them and enjoy them and frequently snack on them myself, pretzels have a slippery coating. It's part of the baking process. It's part of what makes it so yummy and delicious, but it makes it a slippery little thing to put in a baby's mouth. And if they don't have control of their tongue and their chewing skills yet, that slippery little pretzel is going to slide all around in their mouth and probably go down under their throat. I've seen it a lot of times. You think pretzels are a great little snack to pack in a little cup, bring it on a picnic, bring it in the car, bring it to the playground. Quick little easy snack that's dry and it's non-perishable. It's not going to go bad, but it's got that slippery, slimy little film on it, and it makes for a very slippery snack to put in your baby's mouth. Now, there are baby products that are made in a pretzel shape or form or way or pretzel stick that babies can chew on. It's almost like a teething stage pretzel stick, long, thicker one. It's kind of one for them to hold on to and kind of gnaw on and teeth and get practice holding their own food and feeding themselves. But it's not real pretzel material, if you know what I'm saying. It's not real pretzel skin. It's not pretzel surface. It's not pretzel texture, or, you know what I'm trying to say? So wait a little bit longer for those pretzels. Wait until they're older, maybe preschool age or older, just because they need practice and they need time to learn how to move their tongue and use their tongue to move food around in their mouth. And if they're not quite there yet, that slippery pretzel could possibly get stuck and caught in their throat. Number 4, popcorn. My favorite, but don't give it to a kiddo. Well, you can give it to your kiddos. I do not give it to other people's children. Here's why. When corn is popped into a fluffy white yummy popcorn, yes, the white fluffy part does melt in your mouth, and oh, it is so yummy. But the shell of the corn is called the hull, Hull. Google it. It's the skin shell part of the outside of the corn, and when it's popped, it opens up, and it's those little tiny pieces that get stuck in the back of your teeth. They're always left at the bottom of your popcorn bowl. Those can cause a baby to choke. How many times have you had popcorn and you got one of those things stuck in the back of your mouth and you're off to the side going, that's the popcorn hull. Don't give popcorn to a baby because they will not be able to do the clearing out their throat technique. Popcorn hulls can get stuck in the back of their throat and that can cause a choking or gagging reaction. And it's hard to get that out because you're not supposed to reach into a baby's throat with your finger. That usually just pushes the food deeper in and it causes a risk of pushing it down into their lung or into their esophagus further. So skip the popcorn unless you are willing to take the time to manually, with your hands, one at a time, pull the popcorn apart and pull out just the soft, white, fluffy popcorn part away from the skin hull. That's the only part of a popcorn that I feel safe giving to a child or a baby. I don't know if it's worth it to you or not. For me, it's not worth it. There are so many other alternatives out there to popcorn, and a baby's not going to miss popcorn. If they haven't had it before, they're not going to know what they're missing. They're not going to, crave it. They might see you having your popcorn and go, I want. Avoid it if you can. Give them something else. Give them a different option that's baby safe and child friendly. Some of the alternative snack options for popcorn would be like a pirate's booty or a puffed, what do they call that? The puffed corn snacky cereal snacks. You know those little round rice cakes? Quaker makes one that's in a popcorn flavor. It's made out of puffed rice cereal, which is also a good option. It has that salty flavor. It has the buttery popcorn flavor. And, you could even break it up into crumbles and have them have it in their own little child bowl. And they can eat it like popcorn like you are, like the grown-ups, and feel like they're included and they're part of that fun and that snack time. Okay, grapes. Yes, grapes. That fun summer portable fruit snack that you can bring pretty much anywhere. Picnics, playgrounds, amusement parks, the zoo. I love grapes. But I'm sorry, I will not give them to somebody else's child or toddler. No matter what size, what shape, red grapes, purple grapes, green grapes, seedless grapes, those grapes are all going to be the size of your child's throat. And if you've ever seen a child choking on a grape, it's very scary. This is scary stuff, guys. This is choking. These are all because of choking that I'm mentioning all of these foods. They're all yummy. They're delicious. They're snacks. They're easy. They're quick. They're cheap. But they're choking hazards. And unless you take the time to peel, cut, slice, or dice, these foods will inevitably, at some point or another, end up in the back of your child's throat. And it's just not safe. Grapes need to be cut in halves and quarters. Make sure there's no seeds in there, of course, but don't just let your baby have a bowl full of grapes and snack on it with you. Don't just put a bunch of grapes on their high chair tray table. You need to cut those grapes up for them. And I would recommend doing them in quarters. Halves are still kind of a little bit long. They could still get wedged in their throat lengthwise. I would suggest cutting them into quarters. Make them small, y'all. Make them small, y'all. Another food that I will not give somebody else's babies or children. Tomatoes with the skin on. I love tomatoes. It's probably my favorite summer food. And I think it's really important for babies to have a good palate and try different fruits and different vegetables. Tomatoes is definitely one of them. It's a milder one. It's not a spicy vegetable. It's not anything that's too hard to come by. But a tomato with the skin on it is another choking hazard because the skin is hard for them to break down, especially if they don't have those big, strong teeth in the back to break it down. It's going to get stuck somewhere in their mouth or in the top of the roof of their mouth or their throat, and it can cause a gagging or choking reflex. And it's just something that tomatoes are fine. They're healthy. They're great to have in your diet, no matter what age you are. But there are ways to give a baby a tomato without having the skin on it. It's easy to blanch them quickly and peel that skin off. You can puree the tomato. You can add that tomato puree to all kinds of veggies and mixes in their soft foods or in their baby foods. I even really like the cute miniature size grape tomatoes or cherry tomatoes, the smaller ones. So those, although they are a really nice nifty size to cut into quarters and halves, you don't just give the little cherry tomatoes and grape tomatoes to them whole. I would cut them into quarters for sure after peeling them. That's just how I would do it. For me, it's just easier to avoid them. Number 7, rice. Rice, baby. Sorry. Don't give your kiddos rice if they don't have their chewing teeth in the back of their mouth yet. If your kiddo is not quite chewing in the back of their mouth yet, they don't have the chewing power and the teeth to break down the rice. It's going to get separated in their mouth and inevitably inhaled. Believe it or not, rice is actually easy to choke on because you're inhaling it in little bits, and a little tiny piece of rice, one little tiny piece can get sucked back into your windpipe. Unless you're giving your kiddos the real sticky sushi rice that binds and sticks together in a little ball and you could press it and almost mush it into one piece and let them chew on that, I would avoid giving rice to a toddler or a little one until they have teeth all the way in the back of their mouth and they can chew it and break it down thoroughly. We all love rice: brown rice, white rice, minute rice, jasmine rice, long grain rice, sushi rice. Rice is so yummy, but it's not safe for a toddler, not just yet, unless you can really, really cook the heck out of it and steam it up so it's super soggy and sticky and you can mush it together. I would skip the rice just for now until they're a little bit older. Number 8. Celery. Okay, celery is not even really necessarily my favorite food or snack. I think I had it in my lunchbox every day from kindergarten till I graduated from high school. I'm burned out on celery, y'all. But that's not why I don't give it to children or toddlers or babies. Oftentimes you'll see things on the internet that will say, oh, give your baby a celery stick to chew on. Oh, celery sticks are great for teething. Yes, I bet they are. But I, personally, too many times have seen a baby choking and gagging and losing their lunch because they have a piece of that celery string stuck in their throat. And it's one of those things where it's too long and they're pulling it out or they're trying to gag it up. It's just too scary for me with somebody else's baby. Again, if this is your baby and you want that baby to have celery in their diet, find a way to get it in their diet. Maybe you puree it, maybe you mush it or juice it. Whatever you need to do to get that celery in that baby's body, if you must, please break it down so that the strings aren't long and stringy and gaggy and choky. Celery is fun. Celery is crispy. Celery is cold. Celery is full of really good healthy vitamins. All the power to you, celery people. Just don't give it to your baby. Not even a little sliver of a skinny long stick. It's just the strings are not able to be broken down. Toddlers, even little preschool kids, don't take the time to chew properly, break it down. They're usually scarfing it down. They're in a hurry or they're occupied by some kind of other activity or cartoon on the television. And they're eating too quickly and they're not taking that time to break down the strings in that celery. Just avoid it, at least until they're old enough to really, really chew it up really well. Number 9 is carrots. Uncooked carrots. I'm talking about the raw ones that haven't been cooked or at least steamed or blanched. If we're talking toddlers and preschool age, that's a really good time to introduce carrots. They're great for teething. They're great to put in the fridge or the freezer and let them get really cold and help that baby with their teething pain by gnawing on it and chewing on that cold carrot. But when your toddler gets to a certain age where he's starting to pick up finger foods and trying different foods on his or her high chair tray table, this is a great little finger food pickup practice for their manual dexterity and their motor skills. But you don't want to give a baby or a toddler raw carrots, no matter what size or if they're cut or sliced or diced or whole, whatever. I think that carrots are very choky. That's a real word, okay? I know that carrots are one of the go-to grab snacks for all ages. But be careful giving them to toddlers and babies. Even if you're cutting them into small pieces, 9 times out of 10, that baby is not chewing and completely mushing up that carrot in their mouth before they're swallowing it down. If you can, take the time to steam or at least blanch your carrots. Dice them up, slice them up. They sell them frozen in a bag already diced into cute little perfect cut squares. You could do that. That's the perfect size for babies to learn how to pick up their food and feed themselves. Self-feeding is a really, really fun stage for your baby, but you want to make it safe. We go together like peas and carrots. Peas and carrots, the little mix in the frozen food section in the bag. Love it. They're already smushy and cooked and steamed or whatever. They're ready to serve. You just need to warm them up or let them defrost a little bit. Make sure you're not feeding that baby frozen peas or carrots because they're going to be too hard in the center. If they're not defrosted or thawed out completely in the center, they're still basically going to be a firm, hard vegetable that's easy to choke on. Peas, I love giving peas to babies because you can smush it. It's not a round ball that's going to roll into the back of their throat and cause them to choke. Smash it with your thumb. It gives them practice picking it up. If you give a baby a round pea on their tray table in their high chair, it's going to roll away from them and they're going to get frustrated and they're going to give up. They're going to stop trying. I think I've covered all the basic foods that I personally, as a nanny, am hesitant or afraid to give to somebody else's child or baby. If you have any questions or comments about this video, please leave your comments down below. I'm always open to your input. You can do this, mommies, with a little bit of patience, some compassion, and a lot of love. I'm Miss Jen. Thanks for joining Nanny Knowledge with Miss Jen.